What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome to Leafs Digest. Breaking down game 54 of the regular season. Shortened season this year, so we only got a couple games left. Leafs take this one, though, 3-2 in a dramatic comeback. They were down 2-0 early in the second. They lock up first in the North Division. The Habs still looking for that final point to clinch a playoff spot. At this point, I think it'll take a miracle. I'm pretty sure Calgary has to win out to close this one out, but with all things considered, I think this is a good win for the Leafs. It was kind of a sloppy game. It was a weird one for sure. It's tough to start down 2-0. You don't want to do that every night. But to have a team that's able to, you're confident enough to say these guys can come back tonight, and you don't always count them out, especially 1-0, not a big deal. 2-0 and down in the second like that. You kind of get worried with teams in the past. This year, Josh, I'm not worried when they go down 2-0.
I'm not as worried either. I was even saying to my buddy his money line bet when they were down. We were thinking about it, but
Yeah.
Didn't end up taking it. I always got the gambler's mind going, and I saw value there, which just speaks volume to how good the Leafs are. Like I'm at the point where I see them down 2-0. I'm like, let's roll the dice on this. I think I can make money. So that right there is hilarious enough when you think about where the Leafs have been in recent history.
Yeah.
We're expecting excellence out of them. I'm going to say it, excellence, because the cup is what we want, and that's what they're capable of. So It was great to see from a number of angles, and I think the goaltending aspect of it was probably the most redeeming part of what happened tonight after that second goal.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree. I think that, like, not just from a team and like a player or a skater's perspective, but like goaltending, you look at okay, we're down now, and you can't really feel confident in, like I haven't, at least in the past. Like, you watch Freddie give up a goal like Campbell did on that second one. The first one, I can't give him any blame at all. Two Leafs players, two Habs players directly in front of him. No chance at seeing that point shot come through. No one really boxing out or giving Campbell a clear lane at the shot. Deflects off of Muzzin, which is just even more unfortunate, goes in. You almost just call that one a wash. Like, what is he supposed to do? What's supposed to happen there? That's on the defenders to clear the front and give him some space. The second one, weaker goal. Guys flying down the wing. Suzuki fires a shot far side. Hits Campbell's blocker, kind of bounces in. And you brought up to me even before we hopped on here, you said, like, when Campbell made that save, it was almost like the puck was going to go wide anyways before the shot, even after it hit him, and then it kind of looked like it took an unfortunate bounce off the ice into the net. Still, it's one Jack's going to look at and say, I wish I had that one back, because you never like to give up a goal like that. But once that goes in, neither the team nor Campbell deflated. And I think typically, aside from the skaters, but the goaltending, you'd see that goalie, whether it be Freddie, Johnny Burns, Optimus Rhyme, whoever you want to look at, a guy gives up that kind of goal, and it's just lights out. Like, we might as well call this one a game and just hand them the win right then and there, because the goalie will shut down, and then consequently the team shuts down. Having a guy like Campbell in net, I don't think he has that mindset of like, wow, I screwed up, it's over. Like, he won't think about that until after the game, and he'll look at that goal and say, wow, I should have had that one. But in the moment, he's ready to go, and he wants to win. And I think that just morale, his play overall, just keeps the team going. Again, we have Foligno, Hyman, and Bogosian out. So still more guys get chances to hop in the lineup. Sandin comes out because of cap problems. Hutton gets a chance to jump in here. And then you look up front, that battle for those final spots heading into this playoffs is getting even more fierce. I know you can't look at it such a small sample size and say this is the way the guy is and this is the way he's going to play, but Pierre Engvall has made the most out of every single opportunity that he's had in this lineup over the last 3 games to say, I deserve to be here. Whether people think so or not, he's trying to show the coaching staff everything he's capable of, and scoring goals in 3 straight games is nothing to look past, because that's a guy who's clearly hungry for a spot and hungry for an opportunity to compete and show what he has in the playoffs.
I agree with you in a very surface way, where I'm like, Pierre has done everything that you could have potentially done to get yourself back into it. It almost seems like as soon as we started talking about him, I think in one of the earlier pods about being a potential guy on the bubble because we have so much depth coming up.
Yeah,
it's really true. And I feel like if you're the Leafs, you got so much certainty about where you want to be at the end of this season and how good your depth players are that I would even debate taking Pierre Engvall out of the lineup on a heater. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know it actually does, but Pierre's done really well. His goals, they haven't been flukes. He's really worked for them. I mean, he had that one top shelf goal the other night though, where I was like, okay, that was a nice shot.
Yeah.
Goalie probably should have had it. It's tough to say because the guy gets it on the board and it's like, what am I supposed to do? Tell him that he didn't deserve that?
Yeah.
No, he's getting goals.
He's
He's
doing the right
answering the
things to
bell.
get the goals at least.
100%, 100%. I definitely think he's got probably better game sense than even a guy like Mikheyev, who's got the all-star legs on him, but just
Yeah.
no sort of natural feel for the game.
Yeah.
Engvall's doing a good job of balancing both, but I honestly don't think if we have our best lineup ready to go, I don't know where he slots in on the first playoff series. I really don't.
No, but that being said, I think that he gives an opportunity, or he showcases that he's taken the most out of this opportunity to say, at least I'm the next guy up, which is
Yeah.
good for him and good for team competition to be able to look at that depth and say, we have options lower down. You can count on your top six being there. You can almost relatively count on that. Like, I'd almost say that your fourth line is the most set in Spezza and Thornton being there, and then you're gonna look down the middle and say one of these guys is gonna change in and out, and then your third line is kind of a crapshoot because it almost all depends on where Hyman falls in there, because once he gets slotted, that's when the rest of the dominoes fall. That's when everything else gets kind of determined, because if he goes on the second line, there's going to be a big shakeup of players moving in and out. If he goes on the third line, then certain guys get opportunities and looks that they might not have. Like, personally, a little bit off of topic here of where we're going, but like Hyman, if he goes on that second line, Galchenyuk's probably out of this lineup completely. If Hyman goes on the third line, I think Galchenyuk just is still on the second line, which you think about just from a one-player perspective, that's a big swing.
That's a really, really underrated point, actually, because we've talked about it before. Galchenyuk's not a guy who's going to do great playing with, I don't know, I wanted to say scrubs. They're not scrubs, but
No.
you get what I mean. The bottom half of a roster.
Well,
and
he's more of
telling
a
him to
driver.
go, exactly, and they would need him to hold the puck and make plays. That's not going to happen with Galchenyuk. That's why he didn't work out in Ottawa. It's just he's not in a position to lead like that with his play. He's good. He rides the coattails of other really good players and does a great role.
Mm-hmm.
I say that in the most respectful way possible. I'm a Galchenyuk fan, but I want him in the role that we brought him into. So yeah, you're right. That would create an interesting situation in the lineup where you're going to take a guy who's playing quite well, inevitably need to bump him down. And then all of a sudden it's like, even though he was a good second line player, he's a horrendous third line player and
So
an
he's
even
out.
worse fourth line player. And yeah, so to your point, you could end up seeing him on the outside looking in, which would be quite weird. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Now breaking down this little series against the Habs, the Leafs just played their own personal 3-game series against the Habs. The Habs kind of snuck one in there against the Sens 2 nights ago after the first game between the first and the second game, getting dummied by Ottawa. I think 5-1 was the final score of that one. But Leafs lose the first one of this series after letting the Habs come back on them, losing it in overtime, and now the Leafs come back in this mini series, we'll call it, and they win it. They win this one 2-1. On the season, they beat the Habs. Their record against the Habs, was 7-2-1. How good do you feel about a Leafs Habs matchup if that were to be the case in that first round?
I feel fine. I honestly feel fine. I would have been reluctant in previous years looking at the way the Habs roster is built. You got guys like Josh Anderson, Shea Weber, even Gallagher is a pretty physical, scrappy player.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys who kind of similar to Columbus, honestly, who will go out there and throw the body, are experienced.
That's a
not
good
a really
comparison,
high,
actually.
It is, and not a high-end talent team, but someone who has a very different style of play than we've been used to.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, we've adapted. And we've talked about this adaptation so much and how happy we are with it and how we really think this means cup or bust.
Mm-hmm.
So with all that in mind, I'm not worried. But there is part of me that's like, okay, Montreal is still going to be a formidable series. We're going to see what happens there. But to say I'm worried, I'm not. I'm probably excited because I think it'll be a good physical series. I think it's going to need to definitely demand us to raise our physical level, which will be a great precedent moving forward into other series against potentially better teams. But it's good. I'm not worried about it. What about yourself?
No, I'm not worried about it either. And then I look at this from almost a bigger picture perspective here as well, too. And I think you can look at it as, like I mentioned, a series. And when you break it down, you say, okay, the Leafs lost that first game against the Habs. And it's a generalization because it could go for anybody they play, but I look at this one specifically because this could be a matchup in that first round. Is they lose that first one in somewhat of a morale breaking or heartbreaking fashion. Late goal ties it up. They lose in overtime. It's an opportunity or an excuse for the boys to just give up and be defeated.
A momentum swing for sure.
Right. They come out that next game, 4 straight goals, 4-0. They score on the first shot of the game. They make a statement, like we said. It was a statement game. They come out strong. They came out swinging, and they take it right to the Habs early. Tonight, it's more of an ugly game. It's a little bit more sloppy. You're down 2-0 early. And again, it's another opportunity to throw in the towel and say, well, we were down 2-0 and we lost that first game and we're not as in it, blah, blah, blah. They don't do that. This team just keeps on pushing. They don't let themselves slump like that. They had one mini slump earlier in the season, and I think that was enough for them. That was their wake-up call. They lost some horrific games. I think the Sens' huge comeback game was in that, or started that slump that they experienced earlier on in the season. And now they just said it was like their wake-up call of like, that will never happen again. And you look at a game like that first one in the series where they lost in overtime, and it's an opportunity for a slump like that to begin again. And those things can happen in the playoffs. You lose that first game in a bad way, and you just say, wow, done. Like, nobody's energy is there. But they just keep pushing, and I feel so strong and so confident about how this team will react to adversity going forward.
I do too, and it's come down to the structure they have. And as much as I praise Campbell as a guy who's helped add to that level-headedness that you need to stay in close games and keep momentum from getting too high or too low. He's a great guy that you can point to and say he's helped our team embody that kind of approach, which he has. But I'm starting to feel, to your point, so comfortable with this group collectively that I honestly think I could live with even Riddick or Freddie, and then that at some point down the line in the playoffs, and still have full faith that we're going to get the job done.
Yeah. And
you look at it from the standpoint of, in hockey, it might truly be more about your defense than the goaltender itself and the system you play. I mean, look at Barry Trotz. He hasn't had a bad goaltender for him for years. You look at Devin Dubnyk at the Edmonton Oilers, right? Devin Dubnyk in Edmonton was a horrendous joke. You put him in a good system like Minnesota, who plays defense, all of a sudden, what do we got? So I think we're seeing more that we're transitioning not only from, one good starter and Freddie. We've got the depth part down, but I think our system is now more to ensure that we're going to be in these games late.
Yeah.
We're limiting shots more than we have before. We have a toughness to us that's completely new. I'm almost less worried about who's in net, and I'm excited. I'm really excited because I think that the group we have is going to help get it done defensively. And the goaltenders we have are baseline good. No matter who's in net, we're going to have a chance to win. And with the group we have, I really like it. So I don't see any obstacle getting in the way of the final goal we have. There's nothing that we can blame. All the excuses are gone. I'm excited that we just get going on and moving forward because I think a cup is in the future of this team, which, hot take, but anyone listening here, I'm sure you're a Toronto fan. I know you want to see it, and you probably agree by now. We're looking good.
Yeah, well, Giddy, big 3-2 win from the Leafs here. They go down 2-0 early, like we said. Goal in the first period. Goal in the second period early from Nick Suzuki. Tough one to see on Camo, but battles back, holds strong through this one. We have a guy like Pierre Engvall get on the board. A little bit of a fluky one, but still, goal's a goal. They don't ask how, they just ask how many. Then we get some little chip in from the big boys. Nylander grabs one. Good positioning in front. Right place, right time. Goal scorer's goal. Buries it from the side of the net off a rebound. And then finally, Mitch Marner. Great face-off win from Austin Matthews. Just comes around, rips the shot. Just a beautiful shot, short side. And you just love to see that. It exemplifies the depth this team has, from Pierre Engvall getting on the board to your high-end talent scoring to an incredible performance in your goaltending and just strong, solid, steady defense. There's not much more you could ask for from this team at this point. Again, game 54 of the season, beat the Habs in this mini series 2-1, 7-2-1 on the season against them. I feel really strongly about this heading into the playoffs. 2 games left in the season, one against Ottawa, one against Vancouver. Hopefully we keep it clean, keep it safe, get everyone through those ones healthy, happy, feeling good, get a couple wins, and ride this thing right into the playoffs and keep it rolling. But I'm feeling good about the Leafs right now, Goody. Feeling good about sitting here talking to you about another good win from the team. And we'll see the Leafs Digest fans after the next game, May 12th at 8 p.m. versus Senators.
Yes, sir. Signing off.